Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So, Millhouse, my puppy, used to come to work with me every single day. We had a great thing going. It was awesome. I lived in a dog-friendly world. It's fantastic. And there's nothing that passes the hours quicker at work than having that little guy there. We occasionally play hall fetch, and he would go around and say hi to everybody in the office. And everybody loved Millhouse, the puppy, and loved the fact that he came in with me every day, except for a couple people without souls that needn't be mentioned. But because of his dog-friendly workspace, other people, less responsible dog owners with less responsible dogs would bring their dogs in. And one day, a less responsible dog owner let his less responsible dog get out of his office, go into somebody else's office, relieve himself on the floor. And when somebody else came in and stepped on yeah. When somebody else came in and stepped on the relief, well, things did not go well. And the person who stepped on the relief demanded that his office be professionally cleaned. And professional cleaning incurs expense. And once you incur expense in a workplace, especially a corporate one, well, there goes the dog-friendly workplace. So through no fault of his own, Millhouse not allowed in the building anymore, which was a giant bummer for him and a giant bummer for me. However, there was Bring Your Kid to Work Day a little while ago. And some dog owners went, hey, if we have to deal with your Petri dish German-fested offspring coming into our office and disrupting our workday, we should be able to bring our dogs in. And I wasn't one of those people, but I wholeheartedly agreed. So Millhouse the puppy got to come in the other day. And it was awesome for a couple different reasons. One, it was my birthday. It couldn't have worked out better. Two, it also happened to be the day that we were honored by a visit from a whole bunch of veterans who came in from the VA. They came into the studio. And, man, I think you have to train your dog a little bit better to make them a therapy dog. But one of the guys from the VA said, this Millhouse would make a great therapy dog. You ever think of doing that? I was like, yeah, I got to get him certified, I suppose. And he's like, yeah, you do. But if you ever want to bring him by the VA hospital and just hang out, that would be cool, too. You know, obviously there's places a dog can't go, but there's places a dog can go. And having a spirited visit with an affectionate puppy really does a lot of people a lot of good. So I think Millhouse and I are going to do that. But like I said, Millhouse and I were honored by a visit from these veterans who came into the studio the other day. And some of them were receiving treatment for physical and mental issues. And some of them were working for the VA. And all of them had seen combat. And when I asked them if there are things that we could do to help them on their journey to recovery, without hesitation, they told me that what we should do is we should encourage veterans to reach out and ask for support from other veterans. They asked that we use any voice that we have to take away the stigma of the mental scars that they all bear. Specifically, one man who was a lieutenant colonel, I was actually kind of starstruck, shaking his hands. I was like, whoa, lieutenant colonel? Gosh. But specifically, one man who was a lieutenant colonel said, please help to let veterans know that there is no shame in asking for help. And in accordance with the wishes of these men, I'd like to encourage you, if you are a veteran, to seek the help and companionship of other veterans through the VA. If you know a veteran, ask them to do the same. It might not be an easy conversation to have, but we live in a world where veterans are not getting the help or the respect they deserve. They told me that in some cases, it's because they're being failed by a system that's supposed to support them. But all too often, it's because veterans aren't asking for the help. That is their constitutional right. The other thing they asked me to do was to encourage veterans to register for the VA. So here I am. If you're a veteran, I'm encouraging you to register for the VA. Why? This is something I didn't know, and I've talked to some veterans about it, and they didn't know it either. They told me that funding for the VA is contingent on the number of registered veterans. So please, if only to help others when they need it, please register. Much has been said recently about how the VA is failing the heroes that were willing to give all in our defense. And one thing I can tell you after having met these veterans who have chosen to serve other veterans through the VA is that their intentions are the very best. They are willing to work within a system that some would argue is flawed for their brothers and sisters. More on them when we get back.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So if you're just joining us, I was joined by some veterans in the studio the other day. Some guys who came in. Some of them were working with the VA. Some of them were in the care of the VA. Our veterans have scars on the inside and out. And when I asked what it was I could do to help them in their journey to recovery, without hesitation, they told me that we should encourage veterans to reach out and ask for support from other veterans. One lieutenant colonel said to me, please help let veterans know that there is no shame in asking for help. And again, it's interesting. I've talked to some other veterans about this, and they didn't know. Another thing they asked me to do was to encourage veterans to register for the VA. If you're a veteran or if you know a veteran, please encourage them to register. And this is because I talked to a veteran who was like, I did not know that. I have my own health insurance, so I didn't really think about it. But if it helps my brothers and sisters out, I will. And the reason it helps your brothers and sisters out is because funding for the VA, they told me, is contingent on the number of registered veterans. So please, if only to help others when they need it, please register. Please support them in any way you can. If you know a veteran, ask them to register. And please tell them that there is never any shame in asking for help. I'd like to thank Aaron Luna of the U.S. Navy, Scott Randall, also of the U.S. Navy, Philip Birich of the U.S. Marines, and William Patience of the U.S. Navy and U.S. Air Force for visiting me, for honoring me and Millhouse that day. Thank you so much, guys. All right, then. On with the usual show. We are on the eve of, well, not the eve, because, not the eve, because it happens tonight. The presidential debate goes down. Hillary and the Donald, mano a mano. And it's exciting times. I'm sure we'll all be glued to our television sets waiting to see how this all plays out. But in the run-up to the election, in case you missed it, we are doing our very best to talk to as many entertainers as possible in our Punk Rock Politics interview series. And the purpose of this really is to find out what people believe and how they got that way. Why they believe what they believe. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'll repeat it over and over because this is important. When you look at what everybody wants, everybody, for the most part in America, what do we want? We want a roof over our heads. We want to do work that is meaningful, that pays us in a meaningful way. We want more money at the end of the month, as opposed to more month at the end of the money. If we have kids, we want them to have a real shot at an education and at a future. Doesn't matter which side of the political fence you fall down on. Chances are you want these things for yourself and for the people that you love. And if we bear in mind we're all working toward the same goal, we might have very different ideas of the best way to get there. But if we bear in mind that we're working toward the same goal, then we stand a better chance of being able to speak to one another and maybe even learn things from one another and get there to that goal faster. So the exercise that is Punk Rock Politics is basically to get people on the air and find out what they believe and why they believe that. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to support them. You could think that their ideas are going to send us to hell in a handbasket. But if we better understand people that think differently from us, we will be closer to reaching what we all want for all of America. And so for that reason, we've tried to get as many different people with as many different political viewpoints on the show and find out exactly how they got there. Our guest on the show today is comedian Grace Fraga. Grace Fraga, you've got an awful lot going on. Yeah, welcome back to the show, Grace Fraga. Writer, producer, award-winning actress and author, relationship coach who has appeared on the Steve Harvey Show. What was that like, being on Steve Harvey's show?
Oh, it was super fun. Oh, my God. He's so funny. The funniest parts were when he would talk to the audience when they were shooting, like the commercial, it was commercial time and there was a break. And he was so funny. I'm telling you, he would comment on what was going on. Like if they had a panel, he would comment on the panel with the audience, like an intimate conversation, and the panel wouldn't hear it. And he would say things about that. It was so fun. Oh, my God. Like there was this couple and they were, like trying to get back together. And he came out to the audience. He was like, if I was the guy, I would not go back to her because she had cheated on him. And he was like telling us, and the girl had no clue that he was saying that. I love Steve Harvey. He's great.
Steve Harvey, he's one of those guys that, he's obviously a guy who his first love is probably always going to be comedy, and he's so good at it. But, I really like how he's incredibly successful at everything that he does, the television, the radio, the comedy, all of the above. And he also seems to really have taken a moment to go, hey, I've got this voice and this platform, and I'm going to try and impact people's lives in a positive way. I don't have much of a chance to watch his show, but every time I do, he's sort of like cross between someone that makes you laugh and a preacher and a motivational speaker. He just seems to, have made it his goal to have a positive impact on people's lives. And no matter what you believe, you kind of got to respect that, I think.
Oh, yes, I agree. He does. And I think he's got a mission, and he's got a goal, to change people's lives and to influence people in a positive way and do it with laughter. And that's just a wonderful thing because laughter will break barriers so easily. People will listen to you when you crack a joke. I don't know why, but they do.
Well, it's because everybody wants to laugh. It is, in fact, the best medicine. We're going to get some of the best medicine with Grace Fraga when we return. Thank you so much for joining us.
I guess that I should start by saying that all of this story is true. Real Radio 104.1.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on.
So, we had adult entertainment legend Joanna Angel on the show the other day as part of Punk Rock Politics. And programming note, tomorrow, oh snap, Metallica on the show in Punk Rock Politics. Yes, Robert Trujillo of Metallica is going to be on the show talking about the new Metallica album and talking about how the state of the country has affected this new Metallica album as part of our... Yeah, I know, it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, yep. You heard right. Metallica on this little show. Very excited about this. But when Joanna Angel was on the show the other day talking about her political beliefs, she's like, I'm a little hesitant to come out and say who it is I'm voting for and how I vote ever. Not just in this election, but in general, because we're at a point where if I say that, half of my audience will not want to enjoy my work, if you know what I mean. And I think you do. Grace Fraga, you are a comedian. Comedians are known for speaking not only the truth, but their truth.
Correct.
Honesty is a big part of who you are and what you do when you're on that stage. And when you're on that stage, unless you're completely playing a character, there's very little place to hide. Do you find that you've got to sort of temper your material to your audience? I mean, I don't find you to be overly political, but you're also someone that doesn't shy away from speaking her mind.
Oh, absolutely. No, there's no way I'm going to tailor to the audience because that would water down my message and my comedy for sure. So I think the best way to be is to be yourself. I'm a true advocate of that. Like, you just be who you are, and whoever is with you, great, and whoever is not with you, okay, bye, Felicia, whatever.
Right.
You know? It's like-
But I mean, you made an excellent point right before we went to break, and that is comedy has an incredible ability to bring people together. People that can laugh together can usually find other common ground where they didn't think they had it. Do you know sometimes that there's people out in the audience that are thinking differently, and do you ever feel like, hey, we did a good thing here tonight? We all laughed together.
I think so. But I think that comedy is more than opinions about like politics and stuff like that. It's more about the humanity. Like, we're all human, whether we have different opinions or different experiences. You know, we all love, we all hate, we all have sex, we all break up. You know, we all eat. You know, it's like we all have the same human experience. It's just different colors to the human experience that we bring to the stage. So I don't feel that the audience turns against me if they don't agree with what I'm saying. I think they laugh at it because, you know, it just touches a chord in their thinking or in their heart or something. That's what I feel with the audience. And that's the connection is my humanity connects with their humanity. And that's what makes you a successful comedian, I think.
Wow, that's a very good way of putting it. Your humanity connects with their humanity. I suppose, really, that's what we're all trying to do. Those of us that aren't trying to alienate folks. Have you ever had to you ever had to throw somebody out of your show? Not necessarily over politics, but I mean, I think every comedian has an experience with that.
Yeah, I had a big boobed girl. I think she just wanted to
Slower.
Big boobed girl with big boobs. I have big boobs too, and I think she was trying to compete with me. And I'm
wait a second. Hold on.
It was
Hold on a second.
weird.
Can open worms everywhere. Does this happen often? Like, I mean, if you are a generously endowed female,
Yeah.
do other generously endowed females sort of feel like you're occupying too much of their social space and you kind of get into it with each other?
Only when they're drunk. I'm telling you, that was the only time that I was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, she would just not let go.
What would she do? Was she talking about boobs?
She would talk.
Was she
would talk back. She would just like heckle me like crazy. And I'm really good with hecklers, but she was so drunk. She was like ready to I was ready to call 911 on her. She was like ready to pass out.
So wait, back up for a second. Like, were you doing material about hood ornaments? Like,
no.
what you doing?
No, I was just doing my thing. I talk a lot about relationships, obviously, because I'm a relationship coach, and that's my thing. And I guess she just hated on me. You know, sometimes just people hate on you for no reason. Yeah, you might remind them of somebody they hate, or they just plain don't like you, and that's okay. But just shut up. You know, it's like, don't heckle me.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that was her way of showing me she didn't like me.
Okay, so you didn't have a bit about being generously endowed, and she wasn't off on the corner of the stage going, "Oh yeah, get a load of these torpedoes." Like, it wasn't like
no.
it wasn't active competition over the size of. Okay.
No, I don't compete with women. I have no interest. I have enough problems as
yeah,
is.
she might have been competing with you.
I know. But yeah, no, I don't talk about it. But she was just like, I don't know. It's just the people are like that, and it's okay. But that was like the worst case. It was the boob war, and but other than that, you
Sounds
might.
Like I'm looking at Funkhauser. Funkhauser thinks that sounds like the greatest war of all time.
Yeah, totally right. Can you imagine that? That would be hot.
Why can't they? Yeah. What's your excuse? Israel and Palestine. Let's just get some generously endowed females out on the field, duke it out, and we can all end this happily. I'm not trying to minimize the things that are going on in the Middle East. I'm just saying.
I know.
Sounds like a war that I'd like to watch the news reports about that particular war.
Yeah, my boobs are trained in Krav Maga, Israeli martial arts. So hey, watch out.
my gosh.
They kill. Yeah, they're deadly. Yeah, but but you get a lot of people that will not like you.
I think it's just par for the course. I mean, anytime you get on a stage of any kind, whether it's a radio, an actual stage, whether it's television, anytime you do anything, you open yourself up for the slings and arrows of criticism. Like you could, I did an experiment once a little while ago when social media really started to catch on. And one of the radio stations I work for had a Facebook page, which every radio station has now, but we were sort of on our own. I noticed, like, man, this really gives people a forum to bitch in. And I typed the word blue and posted that. And someone else typed red, someone else typed green. And, like, it took, like, 3 comments to be into this radio station sucks, play more Metallica. Like, I was just, like, completely unrelated. But if you give people a forum to express themselves, a lot of the time, the more aggressive, unheard sides of their personality will come out. And, look, think what you will about Trump. A buddy of mine was on vacation the other week, and this guy is a dyed-in-the-wool lefty. He is a Democrat. He is a liberal. He is somebody that would in no way, shape, or form ever be confused for a Republican, no matter what it is. But he went on a trip. He went on a motorcycle trip around Oregon, and something interesting happened to him. He came back from his motorcycle trip, and I was like, "How'd it go? How was it?" He was like, "Man, Trump is going to win." I was just like, well, maybe, like, is this? He was like, I just never thought it was possible. I didn't think it was possible. It just seems so antithetical to what I've thought. And what he learned while he was out on his trip, he got out of a big city. He got into he got into areas where people had felt they had been forgotten. People felt like they didn't have a voice. And he was just like, I understand now. I get it. And I thought, wow, that's so valuable that you did that. Because what he experienced people who were good, hardworking people, honest folks that for the longest time, probably since the economic collapse in like 2007 or so, had felt like they'd been passed over. They'd been left behind. They were forgotten and they had no voice. And if you look at, you give somebody an internet connection, and the first thing they're going to do a lot of the time is scream and yell about things that made them angry. And what Trump has done, and this is why I think he's a very real proposition this time out, is he has said to folks that feel like they don't have a voice, that feel like they've been passed over, that feel like they're either the little guy or the middle guy, that have been working hard, diligently, paying taxes, and see folks getting bailed out on the high end of the scale and the low end of the scale, based off the hard work that they're putting in, based off of their blood, sweat, and tears, that they've been forgotten, they've been neglected, and things are going to go very badly wrong for them if they don't have a voice and they don't have someone to speak for them. And that is what Trump has done. And I think what was interesting about his experience out there visiting with these folks and meeting some folks is it gave him an interesting perspective on it, where he was like, these people are going to vote differently than I am, but I really can't fault them for the reasons why they're doing it. I don't think that, they're going to be served. I don't think they're going to be happy if their person wins, but I understand exactly why they're doing this and how this happens. So it's an interesting one. The moment you put yourself out there, people are going to want to scream and shout because so many people in this country feel as though they don't have a voice. That's what I think. And it speaks to your point of your humanity connecting with other people's humanity. Grace, why do you believe what it is you believe in, and how do you suppose you got there?
Interesting. Well, first of all, I'm originally from Argentina, so I'm an immigrant myself. And I think my point of view is very open because I grew up in one culture and then came out here to live in another culture that they're different. They're quite different. And I think that experience of living in two different cultures has opened my mind and my heart. And it has given me a very different point of view. So I think that's why, I'm very open to anything. I accept everybody as they are. I try to understand where people come from. and I'm a big defender of women and minorities that are underrepresented or they're treated badly. Definitely, I'm a big supporter of women and minorities because of who I am. So I think who we are and our experiences shape pretty much what we believe. I think beliefs come from the heart more than the mind. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like a lot of these things are so deeply ingrained, you don't necessarily even know where you get them or how, like you can dig around in yourself and try and figure out why you believe what you believe, but it's not something that you logically think your way through a lot of the time. A lot of the time it's just something that you feel and you go with it, because why would you question that? I think one thing that's very valuable that you said is you came here from Argentina and you're very open to other people's beliefs because, well, look, you've been in two different places and you came here and you experienced a way of life that I'm guessing was really different from your way of life in Argentina.
Correct. Yeah, completely different. And the culture is different. What people believe there, what people believe here. And I mean, it's just two different worlds. And I adapted. I actually felt more comfortable in the United States. And I felt that was more my flow. Mm-hmm. And that's why I stayed, I guess. It's been a while. I'm not going to say how many years. Don't ask.
What led to you leaving Argentina and coming to America?
Well, I always wanted to do it. I just don't know why. I fell in love with America, and the possibilities that I had here were not available in Argentina. So I felt I could develop who I was and what I wanted to do here better than there. So, so that's what motivated me to move here. And but I married somebody. It wasn't like a green card deal. It was for real. So if the INS is listening to this, ha ha ha. There. So, yeah, but we lasted like 15 minutes because it just did not work out. But we're still friends, actually. And so that's how I moved here. I could have moved in another, like I could have gotten my green card, working as a Spanish teacher because there was a high demand at the time. So, I could have gotten it, but I decided to do it that way because I'm crazy. And, yeah.
You did it for love.
Yeah, for love. But I always fall in love with the crazy ones.
I saw somewhere on your website that your mother actually told you once that you would make a better living as a hooker than doing what you were doing now. It'll be interesting to see how that shapes a person, and we'll discuss that next.
Could have just given up and been resigned to his fate, but he used it to write a book that made the world a better place. Bethany Hamilton lost an arm surfing in a shark attack, and what she had to overcome was crazy in the aftermath. Nobody would have blamed her for taking a different path, but she's pro surfing now, so what do you think?
Always fair and mentally unbalanced. KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio. Now, more AD on the radio.
Our guest on the show today as part of our Punk Rock Politics interview series is comedian Grace Fraga, who came here from Buenos Aires, Argentina. And man, you have got so much going on at the moment. You've been on the Steve Harvey Show and Fox News and the Mary Lou Henner Show. You multiple appearances on Sirius XM. You've written scripts for TV, and you really have made the most of everything that. You came here for the opportunity, you said.
Correct.
Or, well, I mean, for love, you got married. You also saw opportunity to do things in America that you wouldn't have an opportunity to do in Buenos Aires. And boy, are you working hard at it. Absolutely,
because I came here with a purpose, for love, of course, but also a purpose. I stayed with a purpose, let's put it that way. If the marriage failed, which it did, and I would have gone back to Argentina if I felt that that's where I would develop my career or whatever I wanted to do. But I stayed here because I felt that this was a better fit for me than Argentina.
I mean, I'm just reading down this list of things that you've accomplished at A&E, VH1, PBS, Discovery Channel, Core TV, Univision, Telemundo, club appearances. You are like working up a storm here. And also you've got something in development over at Netflix. Like you've been hustling and hustling and hustling since you got here.
Yes, definitely. I'm a workaholic. I don't stop. Yeah.
How much do you think that your work ethic, how much is that influenced by the fact that at one point in your life, allegedly your mother said, you do better as a hooker?
Well, she thought I could make a lot of money, apparently. I'm a hard worker. Hello. And I'm also really good at whatever I do. So I'm just throwing that out there. If I'm looking for my third husband. Yeah.
Right.
Just throwing it out there, okay? But yeah, she said I was like 20 and I was like, I don't know if I should continue college or what to do. And she's like, you know what? I think you would make a great whore. I'm like, what? She's like, you're very outgoing. Guys like you and you're a lot of fun. I'm like, what? And that kind of stuck.
I would imagine, a parent, teacher, or an authority figure, any of the above, telling you, hey, you know what, we think your best shot. Really, I mean, I guess if you really wanted to do anything with your life, you could become it rhymes with schmostitute. We'll let you figure that one out yourself.
Exactly.
But like that's,
man. Whoa.
Wow.
And I hate to brag, but I would have been a great one.
I'm sure you would be great at anything you set your mind to, but did that feel minimizing to you? And did you want to then go out and be like, I'm going to prove my mom wrong, that there's other things I have to offer this world other than this little piece of something, which is clearly off the charts, but I got other stuff going on. Do you think that influenced your work ethic?
I think it did. And it also made me think it could be a backup plan, like if anything failed. Hey.
Did it give you a sense of security? Hey, if the ha-has and the hee-hees don't work out, check out the ha-has.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Big boobs are in. And big butts, apparently. Back when I grew up, big butts were not in. I know the two young people in the room here are looking at me like, what? Big butts were like a bad thing. Now it's a good thing. So I'm ready. I mean, I could start any moment.
It's not cool, Funkhauser.
Right? No, I'm not. I cannot be a prostitute because I'm too much of a germaphobe. But we'll leave that at germaphobe.
Right. Yeah, that's a great reason to not be a prostitute or see prostitutes.
Yeah. Totally. But no, seriously, the work ethics, I think I got it from my parents. They were workaholics too. And I grew up with people like that. So I was like, oh, well, that's the way to be. It's like a natural thing for me to be a workaholic. I can't stand still. I just can't not do anything.
And so you hit on something that I really like. You experienced, Buenos Aires, Argentina, and you experienced America, and that gave you a broader perspective and makes you a little bit more accepting of people. Like you said, I don't want to use the word assimilated because so many people like to be like, if immigrants are going to come here, they need to assimilate. And I don't. But you did kind of assimilate when you came here, because you felt more at home in America.
Right. That's why you quote unquote assimilate, right? Because you feel comfortable with the culture, and it's not hard to assimilate, and it's. You observe and see that things are different, so you adapt to the culture. You do keep some beliefs maybe from your culture, but eventually, to be honest, they kind of like fade away because you're like, okay, I'm living here and I'm just, used to this. At this point, I lived here way longer than in Argentina. So, I'm definitely used to this. And I just could not go back. I really couldn't.
I disavow, okay?
What was that? Was that who I think it is?
That was who you think it was. So let me ask you this. Do you think there's, the way you've experienced two different cultures, I mean, how much, are you fairly well traveled beyond Argentina and America?
Yes, actually, my parents made us travel, which I'm grateful for. I went to Europe a couple of times, and I've been to other countries in South America. And I've definitely experienced other cultures, and I have friends from all over, like Canadian and French. So, I think like, again, it's the same concept of comedy where my humanity connects with their humanity. And that's really what I believe in. The colors of your culture really don't get in the way if you connect with someone. I don't know if that makes sense.
No, I think it does. And I think, look, so many people are so divided right now. And I think that's exactly where politicians on the left, right, up, down, side to side want you. They want you divided. It's the old expression, divide and conquer.
Yeah.
The moment you can pit somebody against someone else and remove logic and humanity, you have a dedicated and loyal follower that is going to let you do the thinking for them. And that's a very dangerous place to be. And that is where we find ourselves in 2016 on the eve of an election that's going to put somebody in the White House that will now that will wind up being the leader of the free world. And I don't think we need to put too fine a point on it when we say that's a big deal. And it is an election that is being won or lost by through the tools of division. And that's not uncommon, but I think it's more pronounced now than it's ever been before. I want to talk to Grace next about how we overcome that division.
Down jam, came to the city with a master plan. H down is my home, wherever on my road, my return.
Real radio. Real radio. 104.1.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is. The dumbing up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
Our guest on the show today as part of our Punk Rock Politics interview segment is comedian and writer and relationship coach Grace Fraga. You might have seen her on the Steve Harvey Show. You might have seen her on Fox News, A&E, VH1, PBS, Discovery Channel, Court TV, Univision, Telemundo. List of credits that is very long and very impressive. But she said when you're a comedian, what you're doing is you are connecting with people's humanity. We are more divided now in this country than I think a lot of people remember us ever being before. And when that happens, I think the real challenge and the real win in the situation is to bridge those gaps of thinking, of ideology, of politics with humanity. When we're this divided, Grace, how do we do that?
Well,
not to put you on the spot or anything, but hey, you're good at making people laugh. How do we bring everybody together?
I think, well, with that music, I had to. I think you can unite people if you look at what we all want. Again, the humanity aspect, right? We all want to better health care. We want to have a good job. We want to eat better food, right? We all want the same thing, have better sex, all the same things. So if we look at that rather than...
I never thought I could blame my government for my sex life if it's not up to par. This is...
Yeah, I definitely blame the government for that.
To tell you the truth, I don't know if it's the government's fault per se, but I know a lot of people that are all working like 8 times as hard as they were over the last. Everyone's working 3 jobs, or if they're working 1 job, they're now doing the work of 3 people.
Totally.
And your ass is kicked when you get home, if you get home at all. Like if your spouse is still awake, the chances of getting a little something are slim to none. So I think you might. You know what?
I'm onto
you opened
something.
my eyes. Yeah, you are. Please continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, it's like you try to set up something with someone, like a date, especially here in LA. You try to meet up with someone. It's almost impossible. Oh, how about Thursday at 7? Well, I got to work until 8, and then I'm tired. I get home, all I want to do is sleep. How about Saturday? No, I have a show Saturday. It's like it's impossible. So I think that's why there's a lot of internet porn, and a lot of people do a lot of like sexting and a lot of like FaceTime funsies and
FaceTime funsies and sexting.
Yeah, totally. I mean,
you really are a relationship expert. That's good. That's
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And actually, I have more guys out of town than in town because of FaceTime. it just forces you to, to kind of like date over FaceTime. I have like virtual boyfriends.
You have bros in different area codes?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
Wow. That's impressive stuff. Hey, we have, you know what I actually heard? I heard that STDs and teen pregnancy are both down.
Wow.
Because of sexting and FaceTiming
Yes.
and video.
Yes.
Yeah. Like people don't have time. Like there's this new, and I don't know if that's a good thing. I don't know if, like the dependence on digital technology to get your yayas is a good thing. However, that might be one useful byproduct of it. STDs and teen pregnancies are down. That's interesting. But you're right. I think people's sex lives are suffering because they don't have time because they're working so hard just to stay even. It's just like there's no. When was the last vacation you went on?
Oh my God, I don't even remember. I go to Argentina, but once a year. But that's not even a vacation. It's like to visit my mom. But it is a vacation, but not really. It's not like I'm going to the Hawaii or something.
It's not like you're taking time for you to recharge your batteries.
Exactly. So I kind of recharge there, but not really. So yeah, it's been a long time. I don't even remember. And I work hard, and I pay my bills. I'm not in debt, but I don't think I have income to go on vacation unless I put it on my credit card.
And who wants to do that?
Right?
Big part of the reason why this country got into such a giant hole right around 2007 is people were buying stuff they had no business to be buying. Like, hey, I want that. Well, you can't afford that. Nah, I'll find a way. Oh, man. You mean eventually these bills are going to come due and the piper's going to have to be paid? Whoops. It's bad news. But going back to uniting people through their humanity and through laughter, how would you go about doing that if you had to come up with a plan?
Well, you put me on the spot here because I haven't thought about it.
That's what we do on this show.
I love Barry. That's saving music, right? I love it. What would I do? I'm not a politician.
I'm not asking you to come up with a plan. The reason I'm asking you this is because you've traveled the world. You've experienced different people that have thought different things than you, and you've found a way to get along with everyone. And like I said, I'm not asking you to come up with a plan, but I guess what I'm asking for is the benefit of your experience. You get along with everybody no matter where you go, and except for that one woman who thought her cans were bigger than your cans, and that ended badly. But that was, one out of how many millions of people that you've met. Like, how is it that you've managed to just get along with everybody?
I guess because I use heart and logic. My logic helps me understand and break down the differences and the things that I have in common, and then the heart connects me with the person. But I do have a plan. Actually, I just came up with a plan to unite people. I think it should start. See, I'm that smart.
Yes.
Yeah, I am. But I think it should start in schools with children because you can mold them into being better humans, at school and at home. I think educating kids to be open-minded and to understand that differences don't have to separate you from other humans is very important. And I think millennials, actually, which I think you're a millennial, right? AD?
I think I'm right there on the cutoff
You're
point.
on the cusp. Okay. My best friend is a 23-year-old guy, and obviously I'm not 23. But it's funny because my generation kind of thinks the same as his generation. His generation is very open-minded. I think millennials are trying to open up and to understand other cultures and understand things that are different from them. That's what I feel, and I think that's a wonderful thing. And I think that if you start in schools and at home to change kids' minds and to mold them, that could make a big difference. And to teach people in general to love and not to hate. And I know that's it's as simple as that if you think about it. Love unites and hate divides, and so it's just teaching humans how to be loving even though they want to hate. I don't know if that makes sense or if it's too metaphysical or profound.
No, I think it makes perfect sense. And I honestly, it's not a new thought. It's not an original thought.
Exactly.
But I think that it's education is I think the cure-all for so much of what ails not just this country but the entire world. Education to me means more than just, getting your having good grades and being able to get into a college so you can then get a degree and make money off of your baller job that you got with a degree. For those people that actually do manage to make jobs off of their make livings off of their degrees. I know, but an education is more than just that. It's a sense of possibility. It's a sense of something else is out there. And I think a kid with an education is less likely to hold up a liquor store in this country. And across the other side of the planet, an education is going to make a kid less likely to strap a bomb to their chest. I do. I think, it's so important. But then we get into this weird area of, sometimes the parents or the teachers don't necessarily want what we see as being right. They are contributing to the divide very, very young.
And I think that's part of being human. Like all the dysfunction is that we hand it over to our kids. You know what I mean? Unless you do a lot of work on yourself, I think you will pass on the dysfunction to your children.
Yeah. No, I mean, and I think the understanding of how...
That's the deep... I love the deep music.
The understanding of how we got there, and how we became what we are is something that will, I think, mend those divides. Like, you have somebody that believes radically different things than you. I think the best thing you can do is figure out a way to put yourself in their shoes and understand how it is they got there. And if you can teach your kids to do that, hey, you don't have to, this kid was mean to you in class. Well, that's tough. That sucks. And that's not right. Maybe if you had a little bit better understanding of how that kid wound up being mean, which was probably, someone was probably mean to them, so they're taking it out on you. Again, it doesn't make it right, but it helps mitigate the circumstances and helps give you an edge in dealing with those situations moving forward when you have an insight into how somebody got to be the way they are.
Absolutely.
So, go on?
No, go ahead.
I was just going to ask you about the series you have in development with Netflix, but no, it sounded like you had something entirely more important to contribute. Go ahead. What were you about to say?
I forgot. I swear. I love the music. I love it, Barry. You're the best. Yeah, well, we're actually pitching my group show, I Love at First Laugh. It's the female point of view on relationships. It's the funny female point of view. And, we're pitching it. We're not in development yet, but we're pitching it. So we're hoping that that's going to happen, and it would be awesome because females in comedy, we need... to be out there, and it's a male-dominated business, so I have it in my heart to help other female comics. And eventually, I'm sure I'm going to have a guy's point of view show first. Yeah. But first, I want to start with the girls. Very good. Very impressive. That's Thank you. Yeah. Boy, do you hustle. How do you even, if you have an idea and you want to talk to Netflix about it, how does that even happen? Oh, it happens. I pitched, last year I pitched my sitcom. I had a showrunner and we did 23 pitches and there were 3 bites, but nothing happened. But you just team up. The trick is to team up, and in everything you do, to team up with the right people that have not only your best interest at heart, but also that are on the same page that you are. If that's the case, then you will be able to get the meetings and sell the shows. Wow. So impressive. Funkhauser, what are we doing with ourselves? Here we are, moping about I know the foothills of life. I'm pushing this button here. That's all right. How much time do we have left here, Funkhauser, in this particular segment? A minute? Yeah. All right. When we return, we'll play
Yes or BS?
No,
True or
no,
false?
this is it.
Nice.
This is it? We're done?
This is it.
Oh my gosh, Grace Fraga, the time absolutely flies by when you are with us. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for enlightening us with your well-traveled and hilarious world view. Where can people catch up with you? GraceFraga.com, as well as, what are you on Twitter?
Actually, my website that combines all of that I do and has the links to the different websites is Graceland Rides. GraceLand and then rides RIDES.com.
When you are talking to your FaceTime boyfriends, you go like to give you an all-day pass to all the rides at Graceland?
Well, that's for a different radio show.
You might not have yet, but based on the idea I just gave you, you're gonna, aren't you? That you're gonna go home and do that
thank
tonight.
you so much.
You're welcome.